In this lesson, you're going to learn how to add and subtract polynomials. So let's start by looking at how to do addition. In this first example, I'm adding two trinomials together. So to do that, the nice thing about addition is you can just ignore the grouping symbols. So this is just 4x to the third minus 5x plus 9 plus 7x squared minus 3x minus 7, and now all I'm going to do is I'm going to combine my like terms. So I start with the one with the highest degree, just that's good practice. 4x to the third, there's nothing like with that, so I'm going to write that one first. I'm going to cross it off because I took care of it. And now next would be this positive 7x squared. Since there's nothing like with that, I'm just going to again recopy that one. And now I'm going to go to my plain old x's, so I have a negative 5x. Notice how I'm keeping the sign that's in front of the term with it. So negative 5x minus 3x is negative 8x. And lastly, my constants, I have a plus 9 and a minus 7. So 9 minus 7 is positive 2. Okay, so this is my simplified polynomial. It's simplified because there's no like terms and no parentheses remaining. The leading coefficient is 4, the degree is 3, and the constant here is 2. Okay. For the next one, this is also addition. So again, I'm just going to ignore my parentheses. And I'm just going to recopy this. 4x squared minus x plus 2 plus 15x squared minus 16. So I'm going to start with the x squared. So I have a 4x squared and a positive 15x squared. That is 19x squared. Notice that the exponents don't change. So I'm going to cross those two off, and I'm going to go to negative x is next, and there's nothing like with that, so I'll just recopy it. And then I have a positive 2 and a negative 16. So 2 minus 16 is negative 14, so I write that as a minus 14. This again is simplified because there's no like terms or parentheses remaining. It would be a trinomial. In this third example, I'm going to show you a vertical way of setting up your work. What some people prefer to do is kind of make columns where they line up their like terms. So this 14y squared, I'm going to move this over here. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding my two polynomials vertically. My negative 5xy lines up with this one. And I'm going to need a plus sign in front of that 14y squared now because it was positive. And then I have a positive 11. I'm going to line up with the negative 5 because it's a constant. Just like with an addition problem, I'm going to put a bar under here. And now I'm just going to stack these. These are stacked. And I'm going to add straight down. So negative 13 plus negative 5 is negative 18xy. 15y squared plus 14y squared would be plus 29y squared. I'm going to bring down the plus 19y because there's nothing like with it underneath. If that throws you off, you could put a plus 0 right there. And then a negative 5 plus 11 is positive 6. Now, I have no like terms are remaining, so this is simplified. Now, as far as it being a little bit out of order, you probably might see somebody rewrite this with the y squared first because it's got the highest degree. And then they'd put the plus 19y. There's some debate about which one would go next. And then minus 18xy, and then the plus 6. All right, let's move on to subtraction. Subtraction only has one extra part. So the issue with subtraction is that there's this minus sign in front of this trinomial here. So what I just did is I put a 1 right there because there's understood to be a 1 in front of that. And actually this would be, since it's minus 1, this is saying I need to take negative 1 times everything in the second set of parentheses. So what I'm going to end up doing is distributing negative 1 to all three terms in this trinomial. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite this first trinomial, 7x squared minus 2x plus 12. And now I'm going to do the multiplication. So when I multiply through by negative 1, what happens is every sign inside the trinomial will change. So negative 1 times 5x squared is negative 5x squared. Negative 1 times negative 4x is positive 4x. and negative 1 times positive 26 is negative 26. Now all I need to do is combine my like terms. So my x squareds, I have a 7x squared here and a negative 5x squared. Now it's just addition. So 7x squared minus 5x squared is 2x squared. Sorry. And then I have negative 2x and a plus 4x, and that is positive 2x. And lastly, I have a positive 12 and a negative 26. So 12 minus 26 is negative 14. So again, this polynomial is simplified because I have no like terms or parentheses. So big thing to recognize is first, I got rid of the parentheses by distributing the negative. So let's just do a quick practice with two more here. So again, notice you have subtractions. So that's what you've got to look for is I have a subtraction sign, so I'm going to begin by putting a 1 right here. Recopy my first binomial, 4a plus a squared, and I take negative 1 times both terms in the second binomial. So that will be negative 29 a to the 4th plus 3a. All right, now I'm just combining my like terms. So I like to start with my one with the highest exponent or highest degree, and that one's this one right here. There's nothing like with that, so I'm going to put that one first, negative 29a to the 4th. The next exponent would be plus a squared. There's nothing like with that, so I just recopy it. And lastly, I have a 4a plus 3a, and that would combine to positive 7a. Combine your coefficients and keep the variable part. So this is a simplified trinomial. Okay, last one here. So what I'm going to do here is again begin by distributing my minus sign to all 4 terms in the second polynomial. So I'll just recopy this negative 2x to the 5th plus 2x cubed minus 18. Negative times a negative is a positive 24x to the 4th plus 7x to the 3rd minus x plus 2. So if you notice, every sign changed on the second polynomial. And the other thing I want to emphasize is, notice here, I don't have 2 symbols. If you end up writing like minus a plus, you're going to be incorrect. Just begin by going negative 1 times negative 24 is positive 24, so you put the plus sign. All right, so let's combine our like terms. Starting with my biggest exponent is right here. So that will be negative 2x to the 5th. Just recopy it. Then I go to the 4th power, which is right here, and there's nothing like with that, so plus 24x to the 4th. Combine my x to the 3rd power, or x cubed. This will be 9x to the 3rd. Then I have this plain old minus x here. Nothing is like with that. And lastly, my constants, I have a negative 18 plus 2. So negative 18 plus 2 is positive 16. All right, so here's my simplified polynomial. Quick vocab reminder, leading coefficient is negative 2. The degree, the highest exponent, is 5, and the constant is 16. And notice I only name these things after the polynomial's been simplified. And again, we just call it a polynomial because it has more than 3 terms. Okay, so if you find that you are confused, I first suggest just rewatching part of the video where I lost you. And if you still need assistance, please reach out for extra help.